All right, so let's get right into it. When you hear Earth Day, I bet supply chains aren't the first thing that comes to mind. But for leaders down on the Houston Gulf Coast, it's actually become a really important moment to take stock. What we're talking about today is this huge shift in thinking from seeing industry and nature as two separate things to understanding they're actually one deeply connected system. This quote just nails it, right? It perfectly sets the scene. Houston isn't just a hub for industry or a place with a cool ecosystem. It's this incredibly unique spot where these two massive forces crash into each other, and frankly, they have to learn to coexist every single day. And just look at the contrast here. On one side, you've got the sheer power of the Port of Houston, one of the busiest in the entire country, plus the massive energy sector and these unbelievably complex logistics networks. And then, on the other side, you have this rich, vibrant ecosystem of wetlands, bayous, and coastal habitats. It's like two giants living in the same house. And that's where things get tricky. Because that delicate balance, it's being pushed to its limits. The old ways of doing business just aren't cutting it anymore in the face of all the new challenges we're seeing. And we're not talking about some far-off, abstract problems. This is the daily reality for folks on the Gulf Coast. I mean, think about it. Crazy energy prices, geopolitical shakeups, new rules about emissions, and this global race to decarbonize, it's forcing everyone to adopt and to do it fast. So, that leaves us with this massive question, the real heart of the issue. How in the world do you keep your supply chain strong and efficient while also making it sustainable? It feels like you have to choose, but the trick is, you can't. You have to nail all three. To even begin to answer that, you have to get your head around this concept, the triple bottom line. Basically, it's a huge shift away from only caring about profit. The idea is that a healthy business has to balance three things equally: the well-being of people, the health of the planet, and, yes, still making a profit. This is the playbook for the future. And here it is. This is the big aha moment, the game-changing idea. We've got to stop thinking about nature as this fragile thing over there that we need to protect from our businesses. The truth is, our ecosystem, the wetlands, the coastline, it's actually a critical piece of our business infrastructure. So what does that actually mean? Well, think about it. Healthy wetlands act like a natural shield against storm surges, protecting our ports and our neighborhoods. They literally absorb shocks to the system, which makes everything more resilient and helps businesses get back on their feet after a disruption. They aren't just pretty to look at, they are working, functional assets that are doing a job. This line just captures it perfectly. When you start thinking of a coastal habitat as a natural extension of your supply chain, it completely changes the conversation. Suddenly, protecting it isn't just an environmental issue, it's a core business strategy. And listen, this isn't just a feel-good theory. Right there in Houston, some of the biggest players are already on board. They're putting this idea to the test, and guess what? It's working. You can see that triple bottom line in action right here. The ports, they're investing in cleaner tech. That's good for the planet. The energy sector, they're pushing forward with lower carbon solutions. That's a huge win for people. And logistics, they're using data to get smarter and more efficient, which drives profit while shrinking their footprint. See? It all connects. It's kind of like how NASA operates, right in Houston's backyard. For them, failure is not an option. Everything is engineered with incredible precision. It's constantly measured, and it's always being improved. That's exactly how we need to treat sustainability. It's not some vague goal. It's an engineering challenge that demands rigor. And when you start thinking that way, it changes your job title, doesn't it? The role of a supply chain professional is getting a major upgrade. You're not just managing a process anymore. You're literally designing the system that will power our future. You're an architect. And you can see that evolution pretty clearly. You start at compliance, just doing the bare minimum because you have to. Then you get smarter and move to strategy. You realize, hey, this sustainability stuff can actually give us an edge. But the final step, the goal, is design. That's where sustainability is just part of the DNA of your network from the very beginning. So if you're one of these new architects, what's on your blueprint? Well, you're designing networks that are flexible and sustainable. You're picking partners based on their long-term impact. You're building operations that are super efficient and cut out waste. And most importantly, you're always designing with nature, your essential infrastructure in mind. So look, if you take away just one thing from all this, let it be this. For a long time, we saw sustainability as a cost, a burden, a constraint. That's old thinking. The new reality is that sustainability is one of the most powerful drivers of performance, innovation, and resilience you can have. At the end of the day, every decision, whether it's made in a boardroom or on a loading dock, it matters. It has ripple effects that touch everything from the traffic at the port to the health of the wetlands. What we decide to build and what we decide to protect, that's what defines the future. And that brings us right here to the final question. It's really a question for all of us. In this new world where the factory and the forest are part of the same system, what kind of architect are you going to be? What's your legacy going to be?